Hello, today I'd like to show you how to make some little mini oven mitts. These are just really cute little mitts. They look good, they feel good, and they're even useful. How's that? They're quick and easy to make. I've made a couple of pairs here so that you can see them in different colorways. We've got a little hanging loop on them, and there'll be a pattern on my website on gourmetquilter.com if you're interested, where you could purchase and download the pattern. But I'm just going to run through today how to make them. So for a starting point, we need to have some batting to put in them, which is a heat resistant batting. So this has some kind of a foil or something in it that helps with the heat resistance, and it crinkles a little bit, which is obviously something that's just part of its makeup. Then we need to have, for the face part of the mitts, we need to have some cotton fabric. Now it can match the other fabric or it can be different. In this case I'm doing a slightly different one. And so the piece of batting that we've cut is 9.5 inches long by 5 inches wide. The piece of cotton fabric for the face of the mitts is the same size, 9.5 inches by 5 inches. Then for the main piece of fabric which helps form the pockets, which in this case is this orangey colour here, this is 19 inches long by 5 inches wide. And then for our two pockets, we need two pieces of fabric that are cut 5 inches that way and 4 inches the other way. So two pieces 5 inches by 4 inches. As well as that, just a fairly thin batting, and I've used a cotton batting. This is just to go into the pocket part, just as a little bit of extra on the back of the pocket there, makes it feel nice. They are also two pieces of that cut at 5 inches by 4 inches. And then just a little something to make the little hanging loop, in which case I've got a little piece of black tape here. I've used some rickrack here. It could be ribbon, it could be cord, whatever you please really. So these are great for using up small pieces of fabric. And to get started, lay your batting behind your two pocket pieces like I've done here already, and we're going to sew those onto this longer piece that we had. So we're going to put them right sides together, and I'm actually going to do it with the batting side underneath because it just seems to sew a little bit easier. And just with that 1/4 inch seam allowance, we're just going to come along there. So all set to go. And I'll quickly do the other one just so that you can see what I'm doing. Oops, oops, it's slippery today. And pop that under 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so now I just need to press that and maybe just snip my little threads off because I don't like those threads. I'll just bring the iron around here. So I'm going to press that now, and I'm going to press that seam with the batting in it away from the pocket into the larger piece of fabric. I'm going to do that with both ends. And then I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to just let that piece of material show there of the main colour, and again give it a quick press. This is their little turn back on our pocket. And now I'll quickly do the same thing with the other end. And now I'm going to take it back to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to stitch right along on that little, in that ditch basically, so that you get that nice little edge of the turn back for the pocket. And same on the other end. So we've made our pockets, and now I'm going to turn that over, and we're going to fold back the pocket pieces. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact, we just want it to sit fairly comfortably. Basically what we're looking for is about 1.5 inch gap in between down the centre there. So then we're going to lay that on top of our piece of batting, and that should all be about the same size. And then And then on the plain piece that we had for the face of the mitts, this is the shape that's on the pattern. I've actually made a cardboard template of that, and I'm just going to lay that. I'm going to center it so that it's pretty much even at the sides and the ends, slightly more at the ends than there is on the sides. And I've just got a white, actually just a white colouring pencil, but a chalk marker is probably a good idea, or a white pencil, because I'm working on black. Of course, if you're on a lighter colour, a regular pencil will show for you. So I'm just wanting to trace that shape. That's actually my stitching line that I'm creating there, and that shows up nicely there. So I'm now going to lay that on top of this little pile. So I've got here batting, I've got the folded pocket bit with all the right sides showing, and then because this is either side, this would be right sides together, but my black is a plain one, so it doesn't matter. But if it's a fabric that has a design on it, you want the right side underneath, facing the right side of your pockets. So it's laid there like that, and then I'm going to grab a couple of pins, and I'm just going to put a pin just right all the way through at each end through the pocket area. And now I'm going to stitch on that sewing line, but I'm going to leave a gap in this center area where the join is between the little pockets. I'm going to start and stop on one pocket, come all the way around to finish roughly where the pocket finishes on that side, leaving that gap there because we're going to need to turn it through. So I'll just get started on that here. So sewing on that drawn line that you've made with your template. And then just going all the way around. Now you may find that it's a little bit thick with all this here. If you've got a walking foot, this would be a good time to use it. Or you might have a dual feed system, or in this case this machine allows me to release or lessen the pressure of the foot. So that's actually what I've done. I've lightened the pressure of the presser foot so that it's not bunching it with all that thickness there, and that seems to be working just fine. So here I've come back to the other end, finished off with a little back stitch just to hold it nicely, and take it out of the machine. And now I'm going to, if you've got some slightly stronger scissors, we're going to need to trim that seam all the way around now. So where my gap is here, a little bit hard to see on the black, I know, but I'm going to just cut in from there, and I want to have just a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch of seam allowance. If it's too much, it'll make it too hard for it to turn with a nice curve, because we've got this nice curve shape around this mitt, and I'm just going to trim that all the way around until I get back to the join again. So I'm nearly back to my gap now, and I'm actually just going to pop out there. So I'm just leaving a slightly bigger seam allowance in that area that's open. And I'm going to just take those pins out now, and then I'm just going to turn that through. So I'm just finishing turning that through, and now you've got these pockets with delicious looking tomatoes on them, and I'm just going to put my fingers in and push that seam out, basically just in the pocket, so I'm not inside the mitt at all. So that curve should just come, that should just pop out really nice and smooth now. And now we've got this, it's a little bit funny because the batting is fairly thick, that thermal batting. I'm going to bring the iron over again, and we're just going to press that into submission basically. So on this gap that we've got here, because we left that little extra bit, it'll make it a bit easier for us to turn that in. So poke that all in so everything's sitting nice and straight. But I'm also going to press these pockets nice and flat. So by pressing it, everything just seems to even out. So I'm just going to press that pocket nicely. Make sure that's sitting nicely. Again, press that one. Just pop the nose in there. And I'm going to, before I finish pressing that little gap area, I'm just going to turn that over and again press that whole side, emphasizing everywhere other than where the gap is, just so that everything is now sitting nice and flat. But also I'm going to come back now and just check that my gap is sitting nice and tidy, that everything's nice and straight and matching. And now I'm going to press right over that gap area with those little seam allowances turned in. And you could now hand slip stitch that closed if you wanted to. I'm not so good at that. I'm going to pop mine in the machine. So I'm just going to do a little straight stitch close to the edge, right through the little turn back on the pocket on both ends, and that should cover the whole of the gap area. So just make sure it's all sitting nice and tidy, or as tidy as you can get it. Do a little back stitch. Pull that out of the machine and trim off those threads nice and tidy. And our mitts are nearly done. Now we should have our little piece of ribbon or cord. This was cut 5 inches long or thereabouts. Folded in half so the raw edges are together. Now this little edge that we've just sewn closed, I use that as my edge to pop the loop in with as well. So fold those mitts over so that they're sitting nicely together. Open that out just enough to slip that raw edge in. So you want to probably pop in no more than 1/2 inch, just so that it's well and truly inside that little fold there. Bring that across, and now again I'm going to go back to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch. So make sure your mitts are sitting nice and even at this end. Back to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to start just near the fold, right through all thicknesses there, including the little loop. Do a little back stitch just to hold it nicely, come past the loop, put my needle down so that I can swivel that around, and I'm just going to now sew at an angle back to the fold. And a little back stitch just to hold that. And snip my threads. And there we have it. We have some very delicious mitts. Now what that last little bit does is it holds the loop so you can hang them, but it also just gives it that little pinch so that they're just ready to put on your hand and hold a hot pot. How fun is that? And using some of these lovely food fabrics, of course, is very appropriate for a kitchen, but as you can see here, they don't have to be foody. I've got cotton spools, I've just got a fun orangey one here and a darker one with some dots and things on here. So you can have a huge amount of fun. They make great gifts. Again, so don't forget, the pattern will be on my website that you can purchase and download, gourmetquilter.com, and thank you.